2023, based upon voting done from 4/12/2023 through 4/26/2023. The contest was created and administered by bestofindianacounty.com. GCES did not pay bestofindianacounty.com or participate in the creation of the contest or results tabulation of the voting.
It's the voice of Indiana County, WCCS 101.1 FM, AM 1160, and WCCSradio.com. He's Bob Pollock, the Extension Service, joining us this morning, and you can call if you have a question, 479-1160 or 349-WCCS. Our conversation brought to you by Marcus & Mack. Voted Best Personal Injury Law Firm in the Best of Indiana County contest, Marcus & Mack, a law firm representing injured people. Good morning to you.
Good morning to you.
Spring of the year, and people are doing spring-type things outside, including rolling the lawn. I saw some folks rolling the lawn just the other day, as a matter of fact, and thought, I wonder if the benefits are actually there from rolling the lawn as opposed to the expense and everything like that. Is rolling the lawn all that beneficial?
When there's moisture in the surface of the ground, which there pretty much is right now, when things are a little soft, yes, you can smooth things out. You know, just the freezing, thawing activity that occurs over the winter months can give you some little, bumps and valleys in the yard and make it a little rough.
The mold tunnels.
And, well, yeah, add that in. Those can be a little bit more than a bump sometimes. But yes, that rolling can help just smooth some of that out, press it back down. You might be able to combine that, do that job, and maybe you still have some leaves or a little bit of debris there that you need to run over it with your mower anyway, to chop some leaves and things up. So you could combine that together, which would save a trip over the yard. So you can do that. The key is it's okay to do it. Just don't overdo it. And don't put too much weight. That tank, and they vary in size, and so they will vary in the quantity of water that they will hold. And remember, water weighs, 8.5 pounds per gallon, roughly. So multiply that out to get your weight, depending on how many gallons. You may not need to fill the tank. Don't just assume you want to fill the tank. You overdo it, and that can cause compaction. All right? That'll press down that soil too much. Just put in enough to do the job, and don't overdo it, because that compaction will come back to haunt you later. Just because when you compress that soil, you eliminate the air space, the pore space, which includes air and also a place for water to reside. When we get moisture. And when we do that, then the grass isn't going to grow as well.
All right, two other things that people do. They de-thatch the lawn.
Yes.
And for most folks, they use something homemade for that. But if they have a tractor and they're pulling that across and de-thatching in that way, some will actually get the rake out there and get after it. So the question is, how effective is that, and is it more effective for a lawn with shorter grass or a longer grass, or does that make no difference at all?
The height of the grass doesn't matter. The job we're trying to do is to remove dead plant material, pretty much, grass that's died. So it could be the blades of grass that have died, that are stuck down in there, that haven't decayed. Some parts of those plants are more easily decayable, depending on the lignins and the structure within there. Roots, the plant is growing, it's changing. There's parts of the plant that are dying as we create new roots and new growth, and maybe even the plant goes to seed. We're creating new plants in there, so we can get too dense, too thick, and then over time, as all those roots decay or break down or die, not all those roots will decay at one pace. It can take a long time. So you can build up a thatch layer. So it's really that thatch that we're trying to remove, or mostly remove, during that de-thatching process. Mm-hmm. So that's what we're after. The species of grass that you have will influence how often you need to do that. So the more vigorous grass you have, the more often you may need to de-thatch, get that dead material out of there. And also, the species of grass, and then also how you take care of it. So how much you feed it. If you're really pushing that to have a really thick, dense turf all the time and you're fertilizing it a lot, then you will need to do that job more often. And it might only be, it could be once every 5 years, and it might be once every 3 years, depending on how your, species and how you're taking care of it.
Something else that people do that goes back to what you were speaking of a couple of moments ago is they aerate their lawn.
Yes.
And if they do have a lawn that is the victim of compaction, maybe aerating is the thing to do. And whether they're walking all over it with those spiky shoes or they've got a device that they attach to their tractor or push, they do that. Is that something that folks need to do? I would assume it depends on the level of compaction.
Right. Yeah. How much you are on that turf? Do you have a lot of activity on there, not only from equipment, mowers? The heavier the mower is, a riding mower, of course, is much heavier than a push mower. How much people activity you have on that plot of grass. The more activity, the more natural compaction we can get. And I always go back to, where we don't have sidewalks and things, where we make paths. Just our foot traffic over time can cause enough compaction from our weight and repeated walking in the same place to make a path where things don't grow. Mm-hmm. The more activity you have. And then with that, we're just trying to punch a hole down through that compaction layer to start and break that up so that we can get air and water in there. And then a lot of times it's better to have an aerator that takes a core out versus spike. A spike just displaces, it pushes, you're punching, it's like taking a nail and punching it down in the ground. Well, you're just pushing the soil out to the side. Yes, you're creating a hole. Yes, it does help. Better choice would be to have a corer, so a hollow tube that would punch down in the soil, because then that comes up and brings that core of soil up, puts it on top. So you're actually taking something out. And then that can get redistributed over the top, which can help, plus opening up a cavity there. Mm-hmm. So and we're trying to get down through that compaction layer. We also could use that to get down through a thatch layer, right? Punch a hole in there. That'll get a hole down through that thatch. The real issue with thatch over time, all that dead plant material, is it can build up a layer there where water doesn't go through. It just will we can get rain on there, and that rain, it's just like a impervious surface, and it will roll off versus percolate down through and get to the plant roots. So you can actually have plant death over time because that thatch layer's there, and we're getting ample water, or even if we irrigate, that thatch will not let that water down through to get to the root system. So that's why we really need to take care of that occasionally over time.
Lawn care season, by golly.
It's coming, isn't it?
Yeah.
Things are just starting. Things were starting to green up, and then we kind of put a little hold on it. We were a little early. We're a little early.
Yeah.
It is a spring.
We're a little impatient.
I've said a couple times in the last week, why do we have the first day of spring in March? Shouldn't it be the 20th of April instead of the 20th of March?
I don't think we get a vote, actually.
Well, somebody created that time frame. Can't we adjust it?
Somebody who might be just a little bit more intelligent than you and me.
Well, a little.
The guy that made them all. But people do get out and they begin to make their assessments. And one of those assessments they're making right now is when is the first time to mow? Is it when I've got those big patches of really well-fertilized grass that come up in the spring and get it uneven because it's growing here but it's not over there? Or do I wait until everything starts to grow and then I mow then? I want to make sure I don't cut it off too much so it gets yellow and all of those things.
Yeah, so a lot of times you almost have to go out, cut that bigger stuff when it needs to be cut, even though you're not doing much else, just to keep up with that, and then the other will catch up. In most cases, those are different species with different growth rates. They may even have different textures, too. They might be more coarser textured grasses, those clumps, or they were well fed over the winter by our wildlife friends that deposited some pellets and things there, and, and as that breaks down, it releases nutrients, and so those spots grow quicker than the other areas.
Yeah, well, all of those things. We're getting to it. Thanks, Bob.
You're welcome.
It is the voice of the Indiana County. It's WCCS 101.1 FM, AM 1160, WCCSradio.com. 7:58, 2 before the top of the hour. Joe Block of the Pirates on the way.
With Confidence Checking from First Commonwealth Bank, you never have to worry about overdraft fees, and you'll always know your balance, thanks to our online banking and our app. There's no minimum deposit to open and no checks needed. Just your Confidence card, which is made of ocean-bound plastic. Visit fcbanking.com. First Commonwealth Bank, member FDIC.
This Hometown Did You Know fact is brought to you by the McCabe Roof Funeral Home in Klein.